Hey, what is going on, guys? RvzStealth here, and in today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys my opinion on the best hard engaged champions for solo queue. So in solo queue, games are usually won or lost because somebody on your team or somebody on the enemy team gets caught out, and then the enemy team ends up getting Baron. They just push down lanes, and then they end up winning the game that way. So in my opinion, I think that by playing a hard engaged champion, you're definitely going to increase your chances of winning because the enemy team is going to get caught out at some point in the game, and if you're not playing, if your team has a pretty passive comp, then you're not going to be able to take advantage of that. Whereas if you're playing a hard engaged champion, then you can really punish the enemy's positional mistakes, and you can really snowball off of that. So I think that if you're looking to climb in solo queue, then playing one of these champions or playing a few of these champions are definitely going to increase your chances of climbing the ranks. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So first up, I have Hecarim. Hecarim is a really good engaged champion because his ultimate is a long range fear, and that just allows him to reach the backline really easily. He's also got the speed boost on his E, so it's just really easy to engage with Hecarim. When you're playing as him, make sure that you're looking for teleport plays once you do hit level 6 as him. His teleports down bot lane are really good because he does have that long engage, or he does have that long range engage with his ultimate, and he does have the speed boost on his E. So those two abilities combined just make him a really strong engaged champion, and I would definitely recommend trying him out if you are looking for a pretty good bruiser champion for the top lane or for the jungle who's got really good engage. So next up, I have Zac. I think that playing Zac in the jungle is definitely going to be what you want to do with him. I think that jungle, he's just a lot stronger because the range on his E just allows for him to gank really effectively, and he can gank from places where a lot of other junglers can't gank from. So the reason why Zac is on my list is because his E is just such a long range ability, and you can use that from the Fog of War really nicely to just surprise the opponents and get a nice engage off. His ultimate also provides really strong CC as well, so due to the fact that he's got a long range engage ability with his E and his ultimate provides some nice crowd control, I think that he is a very strong engaged champion. So next up is going to be Jarvan. Jarvan definitely has one of the nastier engages in the game because he's got the EQ combo, which just covers so much distance, and then if he isn't close enough to his opponent yet, he can like flash ult, but chances are when you use your EQ combo, you're gonna be in range to use your ultimate on the target. I wouldn't recommend picking Jarvan though if the enemy team's got like a lot of gap closers or blinks, so they can get out of your ultimate. It definitely does defeat his purpose a little bit because when you're playing as Jarvan, you want to go in and ult the enemy AD carry or mid laner and keep them in your ult, but if they have a gap closer, then that's not really going to work too well. So I would recommend playing one of the other champions on my list if the enemy team does have if they do have a comp who's got a lot of gap closers, but if not, then Jarvan is definitely a very strong engaged champion. Next is going to be Amumu. So I think that Amumu is probably one of the easier engaged champions on my list. He's got one of the highest win rates in the game for solo queue, and that's just because his engage is really good with his long range on his Q, and then if he can get a good AoE ultimate off in a team fight, then he's definitely going to increase his team's chances of winning the team fight. So if you're just looking for more of an easier engaged champion who pretty much has one goal in every single team fight, which is just to bandage toss in and get a good AoE ultimate off, then I would definitely recommend trying out Amumu. And to round out the top 5 for this video, I have Malphite. So Malphite is without a doubt my favorite engaged champion in the game, mainly because his engage is just so reliable. His ultimate is a long range AoE CC ability, and it's not really that hard to hit because it's AoE. So as long as you can put it in the general area of where the enemy champion is, you're probably going to end up knocking them up. And it's a 1.5 second knockup as well. So if you can get that off on multiple targets in a team fight, then you're definitely going to increase your chances of winning the team fight by quite a bit. And I also just really like Malphite because if you get ahead with him, you can just look to group up, you can look to find picks with his ultimate, and just due to the fact that his ultimate is such a long range ability, you can easily find picks with it, and you can just easily end up snowballing the game with him. So he is definitely up there. Like, I'd say he's number 1 or number 2 when it goes to engaged champions, or when it comes to engaged champions, I would definitely keep him up there in my priority of who I would pick when I'm looking for an engaged champion. So I would definitely recommend picking any of these champions though if your team is lacking engage. For example, if your team has like a Soraka support, a Tahm Kench jungle, say you've got a Xerath mid and a Misfortune AD carry, then picking one of these champions is definitely going to be advisable, because if your team does not have any engage, it's going to be really hard for you to start a team fight. And say even if your team does get ahead in the early game, if your team doesn't have any engage, it's going to be really hard for you to take advantage of that lead. So playing an engaged champion and having an engaged champion on your team is definitely going to increase your chances of winning. And a few honorable mentions for this video as well are going to be Vi, Sejuani, and Gragas. The reason why these three champions aren't on my top 5 are mainly because either their CC is only single target like Vi, or with Sejuani and Gragas, their crowd control is a skill shot, so it's a lot harder to hit than something like a Malphite ult or a Hecarim ultimate. So I think that these champions are good, like they're not bad by any means, but they are a little bit harder to play than the champions on my top 5, which makes them less consistent, and that is why they are not on the top 5. So that is all for the video, guys. If you enjoyed it, then be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you have not already. So thanks for watching, guys. Have an awesome day, and I will see you in my next video.